his best right now is 121 kilos, 266 pounds, and a snatch. And
so pulling in one movement, 266 pounds,
floor
from
to
ground
overhead.
to overhead.
Yes, and then the
And what's your body weight, by the way?
Yeah,
176 pounds.
176 pounds. Okay.
Yeah.
Clean and jerk. What are you thinking?
It's 151 kilos, which is about 330
pounds.
Yeah,
330 pound clean and jerk.
Yeah.
So adding a kilo, that's another sort of Ray Jones mantra that he pushes, is 1 kilo at a time, 1 kilo at a time. Because we go in with these huge goals. Okay, I'm going to snatch 170 kilos one day. Well, currently you're only snatching 70. So why don't you make your goal be 71? And then when you hit that, you can, build off of these small successes over time. That's going to lead to the big results.
Welcome to Generation Giants. And again, I am so excited to be here. We're doing a series while we're here in Beaufort, South Carolina, just a short trip from Charleston, where we're based. And we are here in Beaufort CrossFit, where you guys train out of. And I'm just so excited. And we want to welcome our listeners who are listening on the iTunes, on the podcast app, and on the YouTube. Want to welcome them. This is Kyle. I'm your host. And I get the honor of being here today with guest co-host David Purser.
That's right.
One of the seasoned lifters here out of CrossFit Beaufort with Coach Ray, and our honored guest Dade Stanley, 16-year-old phenom who's training on Team USA, Olympic hopeful, and we just get the joy of hearing your story, Dade, and hearing you, David, from your experience. And just can't wait to get into it, man. You guys excited? You guys feeling good?
Yeah,
man.
Pretty good.
Ready to go.
Feeling good? Sweet. And as we like to start out, want to go ahead and give some shout-outs and give some thanks, because it takes so many people to really get these episodes together, and starting out with y'all's Coach Ray, doing amazing things with young lifters.
Definitely.
Gosh, the way that he promotes lifters, online, and that's how I really found you guys, I think says a lot about his character, just willing to do anything for his athletes, and really just love that heart. He couldn't be here today. He's with Kayla Stefano at Senior Nationals, as I understand, and want to give him a big shout out.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Jeff, the gym owner here, for allowing us to come here.
Big dog.
Yeah.
I didn't get to meet him. Is he pretty big dog?
Yeah, he's a big dog. Right?
Large guy.
Nice. throwing it down.
Yeah.
And man, we're just so excited. You guys have any shout outs or any gratitude y'all want to extend?
I guess, like you said, to Ray, just because of if it wasn't for him, neither one of us would even be here today. And yeah, he's the main one. He deserves a lot of credit and pretty much always refuses it. So just want to give it to him anyway.
Yeah, Coach Ray's a big one for me. I mean, he's a very loving person. I would have never started this sport if it weren't for him. But another person I've got to thank, of course, is my mother, because, she supported me through all of this, paid for me to go on all these trips, been there to watch all of them, and she's always just supported what I've done. So I'm thankful for her.
Yeah.
That's a huge step for a mama to allow their son and support their son to do events in other countries, man.
Yeah.
That is a huge step, really supportive of your goals and your dreams. And again, also got to thank my team here who's with me, Conlon doing the video, Chandler and Charles. We're gonna get to see more of them here in this series. Got to thank them for making the trip, because this is really the first road trip that we're doing as a podcast. So
cool.
Man, it's been fun. So we're excited to get into it. So to give a little bit of context, so Dade, you've been lifting, as I understand, since you were 11 or 12 years old?
Yep,
is that right?
I was 11. I was about to turn 12. Sixth grade.
Sixth grade. Yeah, I was thinking fifth or sixth grade. Do you know what I was doing when I was fifth or sixth grade? I was watching like Looney Tunes, like on the Saturday morning. Maybe you do that too, but on the side you're like, pulling crazy weight.
Trust me, it wasn't crazy at that time.
Could you kind of give some context into how you even got started at such a young age, 11 or 12 years old, and Coach Ray?
So I'd been a big football fanatic my entire life, and I was doing football at the time, but I wanted to, to get a little stronger. And so I came in. Coach Ray had an after-school program at the middle school I went to. It was Beaufort Middle. And on the side, I saw these Olympic weightlifters doing this thing I'd never seen before. And I just figured I wanted to try it. So I approached him one day, and I asked him if I could come in and maybe do it. And he said, that's fine. And just took off from there.
And then you just got locked in for the next 5-6 years of your life and beyond, huh?
I've never regretted it a day in my life.
Yeah, I actually remember being with Ray. We were at a youth nationals. I think it was the year it was in Minnesota. We went to Minneapolis, I think, in 2014 or 15, yeah. And I was with Ray when he got a text from Dade's mom. And at the time, Dade was still playing football for part of the year and doing weightlifting for part of the year, and traveling and doing things with that. And he got a text from Missy, that's Dade's mom, and said, like, Dade's saying he wants to stop playing football and focus just on weightlifting. And so you think about like where the last 3 years have gone since he made that choice. I would say it's definitely paid off. And so, yeah, he's multi-talented in terms of sports and stuff, but he's really been dedicated and pushed himself to be successful in weightlifting, and it's starting to take him places.
Yeah, and let me ask a follow-up to that too. So you're playing football, middle school, soon entering high school. Football's such a big sport in America, and I don't know if you still kind of play on the side or not, but how'd you make that decision that you wanted to kind of give up football? And I'm assuming you were a pretty decent player at it, to start this sport that's really not even that big yet in America. It's really taken off. I think it'll be pretty huge in the future. But as you guys agree, I think it's more of a worldwide sport. It's yet to really peak here.
Well, the thing with football, I mean, yeah, I was decent at it, but I mean, I was old enough to realize that not that many people make it professional in football. And if I stayed with it, I mean, it wasn't going to take me anywhere. And I just really enjoyed weightlifting at the time. So I said, you know what, it's the summer. I'm not doing anything right now for football. I mean, I have fun doing it, but it's not what I see myself doing for the rest of my life. This is something I could do for the rest of my life. So I decided I would just dedicate my time to doing weightlifting and getting good at one thing rather than being decent at both of them. So that's how I started doing this full time.
Solid. Well, cool. Well, I want to actually, before we even get deep into your story there and where you're going, I want to start with more of kind of a lightning round of questions, all right, to get to know you a little bit better. And David, if you got some questions that you want to ask in this regard too, or just answer them. These are going to be extremely difficult. No, I'm just kidding. It's going to be rather quick. So, I mean, you're ninth grade?
10th grade.
10th grade, public school, right?
Yep.
Public school, so you're in the pop culture world. So, all right, start
That's
out
an
with
understatement.
Okay. Okay, an understatement. Fair enough. Favorite, how about sports movie? Do you have a favorite sports movie that sticks out to you?
Ooh, that's a hard one. I got a lot of ones, but I mean, the most recent one I would say is When the Game Stands Tall.
When the Game Stands Tall?
Yep. The one about De La Salle High School and what they went through. They had a winning season, lost, and it was just about them coming back from all the tragedies that happened. It was a good movie. I really liked it. It's either that or Remember the Titans.
Oh, true, man. For some reason, that movie just always sticks out to me.
Yep.
You were probably a very young buck when it came out, but
ooh.
When did that come out?
I don't even know.
I remember I was a kid when it came out.
Other than I was definitely
Not born yet.
Yeah.
I still remember seeing it in theaters, and solid movie.
It is.
Awesome.
I love it.
All right. Well, in light of the Avengers that has been released soon, do you have a favorite superhero?
This is an odd one. Not a lot of people say this, but my favorite superhero is Spider-Man.
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 Well, hold on now. We got to kind of. I mean, David, you and I remember the first one with
Tobey Maguire.
like the original
Yeah.
Peter Parker.
I remember
now
the
there's
one
like
with Tobey
3 or
Maguire
4
too.
others.
I had the VHS tape right on my TV. I'm not that new.
The VHS, yeah. No, I had that too. It's somewhere.
Yeah, I still got
So
it.
which Spider-Man, or just like in general Spider-Man?
Just in general, Spider-Man. I just like everything he does, like how agile he is.
Being able to kind of glide around and stuff. Well, not really glide, but
He's underrated.
you know what I'm saying.
That's
That's a good way to put it.
personal
It's
opinion.
underrated. Well, he made that appearance and like that was it Iron Man or I guess the Avengers, but he's really crossing borders, man.
He is.
He might get less underrated in the future, especially
Hopefully.
now. You're gonna put him on the map. They're gonna want to
Yeah.
sponsor you.
Just remember, I was the first one who's on Spider-Man. That's all you need to know.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Solid. This might be my last lightning round question. Then, if you got one, David.
All right.
So, with weightlifting, you got to kind of get pumped up. I tend to feed a lot on music for motivation and all that kind of stuff. Do you have a favorite music genre or a favorite pump-up song that you like to listen to?
Specifically to weightlifting, no, because Coach Ray does not like music to be playing while we're doing weightlifting.
Oh, I sense that's a big thing because the people, our friends in the background, are kind of laughing about it.
Yeah, there's always music playing from the CrossFit and stuff, and I just think Coach Ray inside is getting so amped up, but I just don't say anything about it. I just kind of focus on what I'm doing right there. But inside, I'm vibing in my head.
Yes,
Rocking my
vibing.
head, yeah.
To what?
Yeah, right.
Um,
Yeah, stop avoiding the question.
Okay, so I listen to hip hop, of course.
Okay.
I like rock music. A lot of people don't think I like rock
Okay.
music, but I do like rock music.
Our friend
And-
Charles in the background, he's nodding. He likes the crossover there. Yeah.
Some alternative as well. I like my the Lumineers. I like them a lot. I listen to some Jack Johnson. Yeah. So
Okay.
I like a lot of different things.
Cool. Solid, man.
Yeah.
David, did you have any lightning round before we get in?
Just thinking USC or Clemson.
Oh, a little South Carolina question.
South Carolina, of course.
South Carolina.
Okay.
He does have a sticker on the back of the car.
Yep.
I just
Love the Gamecocks.
Just wanted to make it
the
official.
listeners might want to know.
Announce your position.
They might turn us off right now.
Yeah,
Some
right.
fans might have
This is
look,
not a public
just
statement.
exited that.
I have nothing
Yeah.
against Clemson though. I don't mind them. If South Carolina gets knocked out of the playoffs or they don't go to the playoffs, I'm rooting for Clemson all the way. But if it's down
Right.
between both of them, Gamecocks all day.
Right. Do you have family that went there or anything like that?
No, I've always liked the Gamecocks. I don't know what it is.
You just made your decision early.
Yeah,
Yeah, I hear you.
it was kind of enforced upon me by my mom, but I've just always stuck with it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Solid. Do you have hopes of going to USC by chance at this point, or are you kind of just a fan?
I mean, it's just like whatever opportunity arises. So, if I get a scholarship to USC or Clemson, I'm going to go there. But as of now, I just want to go to Florida and live there for a little while and then try to go to UCF. So Central Florida and do that. Just always liked it.
Yeah, here at Florida, I was talking to a friend. They were telling me Florida has. I was talking to Hala. You know Hala. She was telling me. I think it was her. She was telling me that Florida has schools with weightlifting high school programs.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
it's
I
a
guess,
varsity sport in the high schools, and as far as I know, it's like a, big schools, small schools, pretty much everybody has a weightlifting team. Not in the sense that we have it here. It's a little bit different format where they do, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's squat,
Power clean.
and bench press or something like
Yeah.
that, or
the
something like
modified.
that. Yeah, they
Yeah.
don't snatch.
Maybe there's a good opportunity to also define for the newbies out there what Olympic weightlifting is. If y'all want to quickly breeze through that.
It's kind of a hard
It's kind of
question.
evolved over time, I know.
And it's kind of a hard question to answer because you can't say you're lifting weights because you can lift weights anyway. But the specific lifts, you just kind of have to see them. But you can explain them, I guess. I mean, the snatch, it's 2 lifts, snatch and the clean and jerk. The snatch is where you take the bar out in usually a wider grip and you put it over your head in one motion. The clean and jerk is where you bring it to your shoulders first and then you try to press it over your head without ever repressing it again. So you don't want to just like a push press where you push it up and then you continue locking your arms
Right.
out. It's got to be one solid movement for
Right.
both lifts.
That's a good way to put it, yeah. Because you can be watching Olympic lifting and then it'll look like they lifted it, but man, some of those judges are really critical on that second arm elbow push.
They call it a press out. Yeah, if that's probably in a competition, that's probably the most common reason to have a lift turned down is if you catch your weight over your head. You receive the bar in the overhead position for the snatch or the jerk. If your arms aren't completely straight, or if they lose that locked out position and you sort of push them straight again, they're not giving it to you.
Yeah.
I'd say it's really controversial because sometimes they call it, sometimes they don't, and that's what makes some people mad sometimes. You know, it's all part of the human aspect of it. There's always going to be errors, but you just got to get over it.
Right.
Just don't give them a reason at all, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Hey, there you go.
That's true.
There you go. Solid.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've been training in Oli lifting now 5 years?
Yep.
Is that fair to say? 5 years?
Just about, yeah.
So, man, walk us through, you started training, you kind of gave up football, which is a pretty common way for the American kid to grow up, playing football.
Mm-hmm.
They don't often get exposed to weightlifting. Personally, I love weightlifting. Part of why I just want to talk to you guys, because I think it's something, talking about underrated, Spider-Man, I think weightlifting is underrated. And so I want to hear more about the culture and really what is in it when you're really, really in it at the high level. So kind of walk us through. And David, I called you a while back, and you were doing a competition at the Arnold, which is another huge event, huge event. I'd love to know more about that. But man, Dade, at what age did you start doing competitions, and what that look like? Did you just start with like a family competition, work your way up?
So the first competition I actually really did was maybe a month or two right after I started lifting, and that was right here actually in this building, or maybe the one next to us. Which was just a little local meet. I did that and did some decent numbers. And then a few months later, that June of 2014, I went to the Youth Nationals. That was my first one I'd ever done, my first big meet. That was I think my second meet in general.
And where was that? Do you remember?
It was in Daytona Beach, Florida, at Spruce Creek High School. I remember that. And I placed third overall in that meet. And then that was the start of my weightlifting career right there.
Wow. And that was you were like 12 or 13.
I was 12 at the time.
Something like that. Jeez. Third place. Wow. And so, and were you just inspired at like after that big event that you just wanted more and more, because like I do triathlon, and I remember when I did my first triathlon, I wish I was your age when I did it. I'd be like world champion or something, or at least I get to say that. It's probably not true. And I remember doing my first sprint triathlon when I was, 20 years old. And then it's like I see the vision. I see the improvement. I want to do more. Did you have that feeling immediately after your first competition? Like you just felt like you get second place or first place the next one?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just because I was so used to playing football, it's win as a team, you lose as a team. Well, this is about yourself. You can make yourself better. You can do worse for yourself, and I just wanted to make myself better at the sport. So, I was just like, I got to keep doing this. I want to do more of it, and so that's what I tried to do. That's why I kept staying with it. That's why I gave up football, basketball, all of that, and just to go focus on this because I wanted to see myself really excel at this sport that I know I could do.
Yeah. And also, too, for those that don't know, so Youth Nationals, what age is that? What does that really mean?
So Youth Nationals, youth is everybody 17 and under. So there's really four age groups. So it's youth, it's just 17 and under, junior, 18 through 20, seniors, which is 21 through 35, and then masters, 35 and above. So the Youth Nationals is just everybody 17 and under, but it's split into, I think now 4 age groups. So it's 13 and under, but like a little subcategory is 11 and under, which doesn't really count for anything, but there's medals that they give out for it. And then you have 14, 15, and 16 and 17. And that's how it's split up. And at the time, I was 13 and under for that.
Solid. And so, David, man, for you too, you competed at the Arnold. Could you give a rundown too of just your experience? Because I was talking to Ray. You're like, he told me I think this is his words, but don't quote me. He was like, you're like his right-hand man. I mean, I think he really trusts you, values you. You help coach here a little bit, is my understanding. Yeah. Which is awesome. So, kind of hit Dade's experiences a little bit with yours and what you've gotten experience in lifting.
Okay, so I started a little bit older as a kid.
Story of our life.
Yeah. I started when I was 16. I was a junior in high school. I took a weight training class as like a PE credit, and the teacher just happened to have a little bit of Olympic lifting background.
Oh, sweet.
So I learned what weightlifting was through that, and then just developed some basic strength like squat, deadlift, that kind of stuff. And then I grew up near Savannah, Georgia, which is still, barely an hour from here. Mm-hmm. And Team Savannah has been a pretty prominent weightlifting team in the United States for the last 30 years or so. And they had a satellite program in Hinesville where I went to high school. And so I started going there after school to get a little bit more instruction on Olympic lifts and getting introduced to competition and stuff like that. And so I think my first meet was actually in August of 2008, and did little meets here and there. Because I was older, it was harder, I think, to jump straight into doing national level events. And because I wasn't that good. So it did take me a couple years. I think my first, Dade, his second meet was a nationals. I don't think I did anything at that level for probably my first year. I think it was the following summer I went to Iowa for the AAU Junior Olympics.
Iowa.
I think that's what it was called.
I've been to Iowa once.
Yeah. Well, we went by
fields.
bus or van. And Ray was actually there. So I've known Ray since I started lifting. I'm pretty sure he was at my first competition in 2008. And off and on, I sort of worked with him at meets when I was traveling. And then I wound up going to school at Georgia Southern University in Statesboro.
Oh, sweet.
Yep. And while I was there, I sort of lost contact with the coach that I had been working with previously. I was sort of trying to figure out things by myself for a couple of years, and then I got hurt because I was being dumb.
Oh, that never
and
happens.
trying to run things on my own and not really being very smart with the decisions I was making. It's kind of hard to follow your own advice, So I wound up, I was coaching some people at a competition. And Ray, having known me for a long time, he walks over and he's like, "So how come you're not lifting today?" And I was like, "Well, I'm not doing real good right now." And he said just right then, like, "Well, why don't you start letting me kind of give you some guidance?" And
Wow.
That was pretty much it. I was pretty, I don't know if I would use the word desperate, but basically, like, I had no guidance or direction in terms of where I was headed as a weightlifter or as a coach. I was pretty much figuring things out 100% on my own, which I know a lot of people are doing that in the sport now, and it's really, really hard.
It's kind of what I'm doing.
Yeah. And I mean, there's thousands of guys.
It's not working nearly as effectively.
Yeah. And so to be approached by a guy who had been coaching for 40 years, who was producing kids like Dade and like CJ Cummings. And I mean, they're the big names right now, but he's been taking them to that level forever.
Yeah.
If you look back, there's been many, many, many kids who have gone, maybe not as far as CJ, but they've gone a really long way.
CJ's older sister.
CJ's older sister being one of them. And so, like, to have that offer from him, I was like, it was pretty much a no-brainer. He started emailing me workouts back and forth, and I did that for about 2 years. And then when I graduated, I happened to have an opportunity to move here. And that was like kind of another sort of no-brainer type of decision to make, where I had this opportunity to not only have a job, but to live in a town like Beaufort, which is beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
I know y'all are from Charleston, so it's like similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Two very southern coastal towns, but very different feels.
Yeah. Hard to beat really, and then to also be here working with him. I had started shifting, I guess you would say, from exclusively lifting as an athlete and being focused on my own performance to getting into coaching a little bit more, and learning how to develop others and the strategies that come with that, and the programming aspect and all those sorts of things. And so to have him continue to coach me in person as a lifter, but then also to be able to come underneath him and start learning how this whole gig works as a coach.
Yeah.
It's basically been kind of a 3-year internship type of experience for me at this point.
It's incredible
To witness the process of what it requires to get kids like Dade where they are, and to get kids like CJ where they are, and to just to learn that whole life.
Right.
That, he's been the mentor for me that's kind of put me where I am.
Yeah, gosh. So I'd be a fool if I didn't kind of stay on this area. And this is going to be a question for you, Dade, too, but since we're on it. I mean, is there one or two things that you feel like you've really learned from Coach Ray that, just really hit you and just helped you be a better coach or a better person? Does anything kind of stick out?
The two things that come to mind, first of all, are that programming needs to be flexible and not set in stone and rigid for people to perform at their best and to be sustainable. As the sport has grown and a lot of people are self-coaching or getting programs from
Google
websites. Yeah, I mean Google, but some other.
A little guilty.
Some are good. Some are really good. But when you don't have anybody there watching you and kind of giving you some feedback, you kind of get into this place where you say, well, the program says this, so
Trust
I'm
the
doing
program.
this. And
you've seen the pictures. You get these pictures or these people online that say they do these things and this is how they do it.
right.
You kinda trust
and
it.
so, you get this program that's already made. It doesn't come into other factors like, well, how's your sleep? How's your nutrition? How's your stress outside of the
Sure.
gym? Because none of us are doing this full time with no other obligations in our lives.
Right.
Like, there's a million things that are going to come into play that are going to affect how you feel and how you perform, but this program on a piece of paper is not going to know that. And so that's actually how I got a little bit burned out and hurt in the past, is from committing to a program that didn't take into account the fact that I was a person and like have ups and downs. Ray has taught me how to modify things on the fly. Something hurts, or if you don't feel good, he has no problem seeing that and giving you options. And he'll always say, one of the things he says all the time is, you can always make yourself better at something. So like
That's a good point.
if I can't squat because my knee is hurting, well, can I do pulls, or can I work on some overhead stuff? What else can I be doing to work around this issue and not just trying to hammer through it? I think it's very tempting for people to ignore pain and ignore little nagging injuries, and then over time things just get worse and worse and worse. He's taught me that if you want to make it long term in this sport, you have to learn how to train smart and not train stupid, I guess.
Yeah.
Or
what's the opposite of smart?
training hard just for the heck of it.
Right.
There's a lot of
For the checklist.
there's a lot of pride that comes with saying you got through everything, and it hurt, but I kept going. People like to paint the picture of themselves being really tough and really brave in going into these programs that are really just beating them to death. because they think, there's this mentality of more is better.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's really a limit to that, to where doing too much is going to start causing you to go the other direction. So the other thing that I've learned, this is applying specifically as a coach, is that the lifter's success is the first priority. And so, as in, not mine. Like, as a coach, I'm putting together programs for someone. I have to be humble enough to be able to admit when something that I'm giving them isn't working, or if they, they have life issues that come up that are going to force me to maybe change my approach. I can't make myself so big that they have to fit into what I want. Like, I have to learn that there's a give and take there, and that at the end of the day, it's for their benefit,
right?
And also that the motivation behind it is to help them as an athlete and as a person, and not just to make a name for myself. He's, for as much as he has done, you would think a guy like him would be really proud and kind of cocky in the way that he interacts with others, or the way that he just thinks of himself. And he couldn't be further from that. Like, he actually doesn't really enjoy being in pictures with us most of the time, or we help promote the team through social media like Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that. And he's pretty much refuses to be on camera, because he wants the athlete to be in focus. He wants their progress and their success to be what people are looking for. And so thinking about putting the athlete first and making myself more of a tool to help them be successful,
right,
rather than the athlete being a tool to help me gain some sort of like reputation or fame or whatever.
That's so good.
He's a rare breed, I think, in terms of the fact that he's not in it just for him. So I think he's a good person to be following, I guess, in that way.
Yeah, that's phenomenal, man. Well, Dade, let me turn it to you then, man. As far as coaching advice, or just general, whether it's a quote or just guidance, man, are there a few things that you wanted to share that you feel have been really valuable to you?
Well, two things in like specific that Coach Ray has really hammered into my brain was one, to have fun doing whatever you do. I mean, it's not specifically weightlifting, like not specific to weightlifting. It's have fun at school, wherever you go to school, or whatever you choose to do in school. Have fun doing that. Have fun doing your activities outside of weightlifting. Have fun doing weightlifting at these meets, going places, doing things like that. That's one thing. And another really big thing that he's taught me, that's really stuck with me through everything, was you have to do the little things to be able to do the big things. I mean, you have to, like in weightlifting, you have to stretch out, you have to eat healthy, you have to recover properly to be able to hit these big lifts to make you more successful. And it's the same thing with anything. You go to school, you do your homework, you do these little assignments, these projects, to be able to get the good grades, to go to a good school, get a good job. So it all just kind of builds on itself.
Wow.
That's one big thing he's really taught me.
Wow. Yeah, let's stay on that point, man, because so again, going to my background triathlon, and as far as weightlifting goes, I'm a very amateur weightlifter, love it, compete in one competition. It's not what I do on you guys' level, but I love that thought, because you mentioned, we're not full-time athletes, which is a true statement. But man, when I got into triathlon, it was like a full-time job, because like you're saying, you gotta eat healthy, you gotta recover, you gotta get your sleep. And the way I look at it in triathlon is that triathlon's a lifestyle. It's not even just a sport. Do you guys feel like weightlifting's the same way, that it's more of a lifestyle than just something you do for an hour or two a day? Dade, how do you kind of see that?
I mean, the way I view it, yes, it takes a lot of like your time and it takes a lot of everything whenever you do weightlifting. But I wouldn't view it as a lifestyle, because when you view something as a lifestyle, that typically means you're not really having fun in it. So something I think of, like, whenever I do for fun, is I do it as a hobby or like a leisurely activity. And this is kind of how I view it. It's just putting a little extra effort into it because I really want to excel in it. But
You're killing your hobbies then.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it. It doesn't control everything I do in my life, but it's a big part of it. So that's just how I view it.
Yeah. I was going to ask too, man, what do you like to do outside of the gym?
Oh.
I'll tell you.
I'll tell you. I'll mention
You don't
it.
got to throw everything out there. I'm just kind of curious.
No, I mean, I like to go hang out with my friends every once in a while. Go out.
Talking about the
do
latest
something.
weightlifting tips, right?
No, not at all. I mean, there's not that much stuff to do in Beaufort right now. I mean, it's always growing, but like go out on the boat with my friends, stuff like that. But a lot of things I like to do is game, which I know is what he was going to say. And of course, I got to put it in there. I like to play Fortnite. I mean, I do.
Yeah, you and 99% of the rest of the population.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's popular now, and David just hates on it. But it's
Are you not a Fortniter, David?
No.
I'm not much of a video game person, period. I mean, I guess I was when I was 16,
Right.
and sometimes it's hard for me to remember that Dade and I are not the same age.
Right.
Go figure.
It's hard to
But-
remember that at that age we would stay up till 4 a.m. in the
Yep,
summer playing
yep.
online video games.
Yep, but yeah, back in our day, they didn't have games
in
like
our
that. So, yeah, that was what I was gonna pick on him for, was Fortnite.
Okay, so to put in a plug for Fortnite here, I mean, I don't even know what to ask, but, what's your level at Fortnite? Conlon, I'm not asking that right, am I? Okay.
I dedicate a good amount of time to playing Fortnite.
Are you? Is it like a number level? Dude, I literally have no
Okay,
idea. I just hear about
I
it.
mean,
Are
yeah,
you like level
there's-
99? I have no idea.
There's levels and there's tiers. So like,
Oh my gosh, that's genius.
yeah,
They like doubled the world.
It's a lot. Trust me, they make their money one way or another.
Yeah, they do.
You can
I
buy
get some stock in that.
the battle pass, which is it's like $10, but it gives you where you can rank up faster.
So it's totally worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so-
definitely worth it. I spent
So
my
what
money.
you're saying is,
I spent $30 on it. That's the only money I've ever spent on that game. And
you don't got to defend yourself. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you pay for that, you tier up faster, which gets you more like cosmetics to wear in the game, and then you can level up too, which is just like
How do you feel like
for
Fortnite
show.
affects your motivation for weightlifting? Are you in the green or the red?
I'm in the green. I mean,
It
it's
improves
like,
your motivation.
yeah, because
Okay.
I go
All right,
out,
keep doing it then, dude.
I play Fortnite, and then I'm like, you know what? I really want to get in weightlifting because I feel like I've been playing this for so long that I'm getting weaker, so it motivates me to go back to weightlifting.
Solid. Okay, for all those fans out there, play Fortnite. It'll increase your motivation for weightlifting.
That's definitely what I said.
Okay. In the meantime, I'm gonna get stock.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, kind of going back to weightlifting. So international competitions, man. You get to travel. You're going to Dominican Republic.
The
Is that-
Colombia. Palmira
Colombia.
City,
Okay.
Colombia.
Dominican Republic was senior. Do I call that
That
senior
was the senior Pan Ams that
And youth
that
is,
Ray just came back
youth
from.
is in Colombia. So
Yes.
you get to go to these cool places, and I want to know about your, what's on the horizon for that next competition. But man, have you gotten to visit any places that you thought were just really cool? Is there a favorite spot that you've got to go to do a competition?
Ooh, this one's a hard one because everywhere outside of Beaufort I think is cool. I mean, I'm just so used to Beaufort, and it's just like every place is so much different up north, out west. I mean, I've been to it all, but the one place I would say I liked the most, even though I didn't really get to do anything, I didn't even get to live there because I had an injury, was Austin, Texas. I mean, David was with me. We took a 16-hour car ride there and back, and
Wow.
it was just it was a fun time. I enjoyed it. It was a big city, and there was like lots of places to eat, a lot of things to see. I think the coolest thing was this there was this bridge and it had some bats under it, and they would all come out at night.
I remember that.
Yeah, and
Just like the classic Gotham City.
Basically,
it
yeah.
was ridiculous. There were so many. There's so many. It was just a cool thing to see.
Yeah. Austin, Texas. How about you, David? Do you have a favorite spot you've gotten to do a competition?
Yeah. So some of these things, it's hard because, especially when you're coaching, like there have been a few youth nationals I've been to now that we were responsible for coaching like 20-something kids across
kind of stressful,
a weekend.
In other words.
And it was like an all-day event. Like you wake up, you eat, you get ready to coach, you coach all day long. I mean, like 14, 16 hours between taking kids to weigh-ins and then having them in the competition and then getting ready for the next one. And so there's been a few places that I literally did not go outside for an entire weekend because we were coaching the whole time. But a couple that I did go to that I thought were really neat. I spent a weekend in Marquette, Michigan. This was in 2010. That one I was only lifting at, so I did get to kind of get out and do some more things. And then Ray and I agree that one of the coolest places we've been to was actually in Utah at Ogden, which is, I think it's about an hour outside of Salt Lake City. But it might have just been the time of year, but it was really nice weather there. It's close to mountains, so it's really pretty. It was we actually stayed in a hotel that was supposedly like haunted and stuff, so that was a memorable time.
But it actually sounds like it encouraged you to stay there because you stayed there.
Yeah, we did, and
you just had to test.
We had another lifter with us who we messed with the entire time, trying to convince her that there was like a ghost trying to get her and stuff like that. It was fun.
I'm sure she lifted even better. Because
I mean, she did pretty well. So yeah, maybe that's what did it. She had this constant adrenaline rush from fear
it's
of
like Casper's about to
getting
jump out of the
attacked
closet.
by a ghost. Yeah.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with Casper. He's a friendly ghost.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's it was Casper's foes that were about to jump out. She was afraid of.
Yeah. But I've taken something fun away from every meet that I've been able to go to.
Yeah.
They're all really, really good times. And like I say about everything, the kids are the number one, so coaching them is really the focus. And so if they're successful and they're having a good time, then I'm having a good time.
Yeah. Solid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me ask you this then. So you're 16, 10th grade. You made it through middle school, so you were weightlifting all through middle school, right? So I mean, we get listeners, all across kind of that age spectrum there. I mean, do you have any encouragement for middle schoolers? Because I don't know about you guys, but my middle school experience was, awkward to say the least. I feel like everybody's is.
With you.
Do you feel like weightlifting kind of helped you through that, through middle school? And how do you see these last couple of years of your life and how it compares with maybe some of those others in school?
I mean, at first, when you're in middle school, that's like the time of complete change. Everything's changing. Yourself, you are changing. Your school environment's changing. Things are getting a little bit harder and more challenging schoolwork. I think weightlifting kind of takes the focus off of that and puts it into itself. So whenever you're doing weightlifting, you're focused on your schoolwork still because you want to do good in it. And that's one thing Coach Ray really, really wants to see you do is do well in school before you worry about doing weightlifting. But it also takes the stress out of it because I was always just excited to go to weightlifting right after school, and I would just have fun throughout the school day because I knew I was going to weightlifting after that. So I would just say find something you like to do and stick with it, and then that's going to help you go through school because it's going to give you something to look forward to. Comparing that to the last couple of years of high school, I would say it hasn't changed much. High school is the same thing, it's just a different place, more people. But
how big's your school, by the way?
I believe we're 4A, so we got about 1,400 people.
14. Okay, pretty sizable.
Yeah.
There's a school in Charleston that a lot of our students go to that's like 4,000 students. Or something like that. Yeah, Wando.
Yeah. We've gotten beat by them a couple times.
Oh, in football?
Yeah, and just sports in general.
Well, yeah, they're like 3x school size.
That's a big school.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. So you feel like weightlifting though kind of helped guide your focus, and not only not only help you as an athlete, but even help you in school?
Yeah, I mean, it keeps you on track, and so does Coach Ray. I mean, it's going to be different for other people, just depending on their experience with weightlifting. But for my experience with Coach Ray, he's just really encouraged me to stay on track, maintain my academic level, and then it just all correlates. It gives you more opportunities. And so if I was doing bad in school, I couldn't take as much time to off to do all these trips, because then I would be failing in school. But I'm not. I'm doing fine. And so it just relieves stress, and it helps me stay good at weightlifting because I'm not under all that stress.
Yeah. True. Cool. So let me ask you this. Talking about coaching, talking about, you know, those that are maybe even a little bit younger than you, you know, if you were hired as a coach, let's say tomorrow, you know, from your experience, do you have any things that you'd focus on, whether that's in the gym or even outside the gym?
That's a really hard one to think about, because right now there's certain aspects that I'm not focused on. That's what I let David handle or Coach Ray handle, so I don't really think about it. It's just the whole keeping the athlete first, I would say. If I were to be a coach tomorrow, that's one thing I've picked up, is worry about your athlete first, and doing all of that, and making sure that you put them in the best position to be successful. Yeah, so that's what I would do if I was a coach tomorrow.
Put them first.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of digging in here a little bit. So for Coach Ray, your coach, to put you first, what do you feel like that looks like to you? What is putting your interests first? In other words, kind of what are your interests that you really value that he prioritizes?
Like I said, one thing he really prioritizes my education and my outside life, what's going on. I mean, he asks me about it all the time. He asks you how you're feeling, you know, because if you're feeling bad one day or really stressed out, you're obviously not going to do as much. I mean, that takes a mental toll on your body, which affects your physical aspect as well. So those are the big things, just worrying about their life, how they're doing, what they feel like. That's one thing. And just making sure that they don't have to worry, and that you have the stress of what they have to do, so they can just focus on lifting.
Mm-hmm. Solid. Well, I only got a couple more questions. David, you got anything you want to throw out, or?
I think I kind of, just to rephrase what Dade has said, is that Ray has shown us that being a good coach is really an investment in the person and not just in the sport. Because you could come in and run a program and be really regimented and strict and rigid, and not really interested in the individual aspect of things. And maybe if we were a country or a city where we had this, I mean, thousands and thousands of people that wanted to participate in this, then we could get away with that. And, you know, only the kids who were able to fit into that mold would stick around and be successful. But in this sport and in most things, you have to get them to buy in long term. And so the way that happens best is when you can have the lifter and the lifter's family trust you, because you're taking their kid all over the world potentially to go and do these events.
Yeah, we were talking about Colombia, the country, earlier.
Yes.
You're going to, by
not
the way.
The city.
Just for those. Colombia.
Colombia.
And, you know, so you have to have a level of buy-in from the athlete and from the coach, or the athlete's parents.
Yeah.
And the way that you earn that is by showing that you don't only care about what they're doing on a platform, on a weightlifting platform, I mean. And
right.
And so, and that's what gets them invested and willing to commit that time and that energy back to you, if they think that the only thing that matters to you is what they can do in the gym.
Yeah.
And that, you know, your respect for them and your how much you care about them is simply dictated on how they can perform, that doesn't last.
Yeah.
Like, because people are going to have ups and downs. They're going to have a few failures, and then they're going to feel like that's it. And if that's how you operate as a coach, that will be it. And then within a few years, you're not going to have anyone left. You have to have the willingness to walk with that lifter, whether they're 10 years old or 50, and stay present with them through the ups and the downs. And then that long-term development is what really matters. You know, very few people come into this sport and are, world class overnight. You see kids like Dade that have been training for 5 years and are just now sort of getting into that next level. For some people, it takes longer than that. Some people, it never happens, but they're still committed to being the best that they can be, and so you have to be there with them. So being an athlete-centered coach means you're putting the person's well-being just in general, making that a priority, making it something that you actually care about. Ray he calls his lifters his kids, like his children. He has a daughter named Bailey, and she's great. She's not into weightlifting, and he's super close to her. I'm not saying he's not, but he has kids show up. We had a guy named Mikey who he probably stopped training before Dade ever even started, and he showed up at the gym the other day just to say hey and to check in, and it was like a little family reunion. We have kids lifting now whose parents were coached by Ray when they were children.
That's
okay,
awesome.
so it's like a
multi-generational
it
coaching.
really is.
That's it.
And he's been there the whole time, and I think that's something that we would both want to imitate if we were in his shoes now.
Wow,
Definitely.
it's incredible. Well, this might be kind of my last question then, as we kind of wind down. I don't know if you recognize this, but with the platform, and you mentioned like weightlifting platform, that's like a physical thing. Yeah. With the platform that you have, man, you can really, really influence people. And I don't know if you're gonna have a future in speaking. I think you're doing great right now. But hypothetically, if you got to go back to your middle school or even your current high school right now, what do you hope you will be able to tell those future students? And what's maybe something that you might focus on?
One thing I would hope to be able to tell future students, if I were older and to go back, is to say, have fun and do what you want to do, because ultimately that's what it all boils down to, and that determines your success in something. I mean, I've had plenty of my friends try to join the weightlifting program and they didn't want it. They just wanted to be social and just hang out all the time, do that, which is fine. I have nothing against it. Coach Ray has nothing against it either. But it just takes a certain type of dedication to the sport to be able to do this sport. And one thing I would say is you just have to be dedicated to whatever you do to be able to thrive in that. So that's one thing I would definitely say if I were to tell anybody in middle school or high school trying to do weightlifting or football or baseball or wrestling or soccer, anything like that, or even just in school. You just have to focus on now to be able to do better in the future.
Yeah. I like it.
That's one thing Coach Ray has taught me, is to focus on what's in front of you, not what's next. Same thing with the lifts. You focus on the lift in front of you, not the next one. Yep.
Love it, man. Well, that's about all the time we have before we do kind of final thoughts. And man, I'm so excited. I was able to watch the senior Pan Ams live. You can go to like USAWeightlifting.org or something, and they had a link for the seniors, and they'll have a link. Was it juniors or was it youth? Call it youth.
For
youth.
his, it'll be youth.
Yeah, for youth. So man, I'm really excited to see it. You're so seasoned, man. I love that I get to watch what you're doing, what others in this gym are doing, you know, because when I went into my first competition, I had no idea what I was doing. It's like how long does a competition last, and you don't realize you only get 6 attempts or whatever until you really start learning about the sport.
Mm-hmm.
And I got into it a little bit because of CrossFit, like 99% of other people.
Definitely.
And definitely I encourage those listening that they'll be able to watch, because this should be released beforehand. They'll be able to watch it. I don't know if we'll have a link posted necessarily, but they can go to USA.
Yeah, it's easy to find.
USA Weightlifting. Yes, easy to find. YouTube live stream. And, man, just go watch the lifts, They can watch you do your thing representing Team USA. I got to watch CJ at the seniors, and, man, it was in Dominican Republic. I guess Colombia will be about the same deal. They're talking Spanish. And they were like, they were going bonkers, muy bueno técnica. And, I know they'll be saying the same thing about you, man, because you're really smooth in your lifts. Love that you're getting developed not only as a person, but as a lifter. And it's definitely a great skill and something to be admired,
Thank you.
to use that as a platform to encourage others. So love that, man. That's pretty, as far as final thoughts go, that's just about all I got. But David, you got any other final thoughts before Dade gives his?
Yeah, I mean, weightlifting's been a very rewarding thing for me to be involved with. I'm thankful that I've got kids like Dade to help lead now. I just hope that I continue having this opportunity to grow myself, and then to make the kind of impact that Ray's been able to make on others, to just develop the whole person, not just the athlete, and letting when you've really made a strong connection with the person and with that relationship with them, the success in sports, I think, is that much more rewarding when you have something bigger than weightlifting that you're trying to drive them in. And so that's kind of where I'd like to push in the next 30 years for myself.
It's good thoughts.
How about you, Dade? Final thoughts?
Okay. So weightlifting is really something that I hope more people continue to do. I hope it continues to grow, because I really love the sport, and I just want other people to actually know about the sport, and hope they fall in love with it so we can just see it improve. I hope there's people that become better than me. I know there's people that are better than me now. Of course, there's always going to be somebody just like one step above you. And I just really hope there's going to be more people, and we can just really see the competition rise, just the different people come into the sport, because I just really want to see everything take off and what it could be, just like football is or baseball is in America. I really want to see weightlifting be big. It's something I think is really beneficial to people, and I hope that they will recognize it too, and we can see that happen.
Solid. Hey, by the way, what numbers are you hoping to hit at youth Pan Ams? What numbers you got in your head?
Whatever Coach Ray wants me to.
What's the ballpark, if you don't mind sharing?
What did you say? 1 kilo on snatch, 1 kilo on clean and jerk.
1 kilo on snatch, 1 kilo on clean and jerk.
So his best right now is 121 kilos, 266 pounds, and a snatch. And
so pulling in one movement, 266 pounds,
lower
from
to
ground
overhead.
to overhead.
Yes, and then the clean
And what's your body weight, by the way?
Yeah,
176 pounds.
176 pounds. Okay.
yeah.
Clean and jerk. What are you thinking?
It's 151 kilos, which is about 130.
330 pounds.
Yeah,
330 pound clean and jerk.
Yeah.
So adding a kilo, that's another sort of Ray Jones mantra that he pushes, is 1 kilo at a time, 1 kilo at a time. Because we go in with these huge goals. Okay, I'm going to snatch 170 kilos one day. Well, currently you're only snatching 70. So why don't you make your goal be 71? And then when you hit that, you can, build off of these small successes over time. That's going to lead to the big results. But if you walk around feeling like a failure until you've hit that lifetime goal, which you may or may not ever do, then it's not going to be as enjoyable. So setting small goals to set yourself up for bigger ones. But yeah, 1 kilo at a time, it's kind of where he's headed at this one. And then at the next one, it would be 1 kilo after that. And then there is an opportunity for Dade to qualify for the Youth Olympic Games, and there's a qualifier for that in a few months. And so we may have to kind of break that rule of 1 kilo at a time, depending what is required for him to get placed on that team. And so by the time he gets there, he will most likely know, we will all know what he's going to need to do, and we'll try to set him up so that that's possible.
Yeah.
And whether that, results in him getting on that team, which is he would be competing in Argentina in October, I think, or September.
October, I think, yeah.
Yeah. And then from then on, it's back to 1 kilo at a time, or, if there's potential for medals or winning something like a Youth Olympics, of course, you take the opportunity while you have it. But in general, it's kind of your next goal is to just do 1 more kilo than you did before.
Yeah. Love it. Love that message, man. Well, this has been awesome, man. It's awesome to hear your story. I just want to say, I've already chosen to believe in you, man. I believe you can make those Youth Olympics or whatever comes next. And David, man, I got to talk to you, coordinating this, along the way, which was awesome. Really appreciate your willingness to coordinate, being the point of contact to come down here. And but man, I'm actually blown away by the coaching wisdom that has been passed down to you, and that you're getting to practice and to pass down to others. So
thank you.
It's been really awesome to get to hang out with you guys. As we close out with some plugs and then contact information if you want to be found online or whatever. I'll just give a kind of hate the spark, give a plug for my own stuff.
Yeah.
You can text GGP to 31996, and you can get plugged in our text and our email list. We're on social media, we're everywhere. So please check us out. That's about all I got, man. You guys, contact information, anything you wanna give a plug to?
Instagram, our team Instagram's Team Beaufort _weightlifting.
Right.
Definitely go check that out.
Yep.
It's growing, and I hope it continues to grow, and it just gets more popularity. I'm fine. You'll probably find me on there, so I don't need to say my stuff.
Cool. Yeah, I would say the same thing. Check us out primarily through Instagram. We do have a Facebook page as well, but it doesn't get utilized as much.
Yeah.
We share clips of all of our lifters training almost every day. I'm actually a day behind. I was supposed to do some stuff yesterday. Haven't gotten to it yet, but
3-day weekend to catch up.
Yes.
Typical of David.
But we want to share what our people are doing, and people from male, female, young, old, very high achieving, to kids and adults that are just getting started and haven't really accomplished much yet. We're there for all of it, and we want to encourage people and get them in it too. So feel free to look us up there, leave comments, send DMs or whatever, and ask questions if you've got them. We try to respond to those pretty quickly and get back to you and help people make good choices with what they do with the sport too.
Solid. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you guys again. This has been fun.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for coming here.
Looking forward to see more things ahead, man. I'm super excited about it.
We were meant to live for so much more, and we lost our sight.